All right, so we have question 7, financial maths. It says Mary's grandparents deposited 5,000 into a savings account on the day that she was born. The account pays interest at a rate of 6.8% per annum, compounded quarterly. Calculate the accumulated amount in this account on Mary's 16th birthday, right? So as we can see here, the 5,000 is actually just deposited once, right? So it is not a regular installment. So that means this is just lump sum saving. So what do we do in that case? It means that all we just have to do here is use the compound formula, right? So no future value formula here. This is A is equals to P, 1 plus I to the exponent of N, where your P value will be the 5,000. You have 1 plus the interest 6.8% is going to be 0.068, but then divide that by what? By 4 because it's quarterly. Then this is for 16 years, so it's 16 multiplied by 4, right? Then all you have to do is punch all of that into your calculator. You get 14,706.56, right? So 3 marks just like that. Formula, substitution into the correct formula and the correct answer. Then we have 7.2. 7.2 is saying, after 4 years, the value of a printer was half of its original value. The value of a printer of which we are not told. So let's take the value of the printer initially as X, and then after 4 years, it depreciates to half of its original price, which is half X. Determine the rate at which the value of the printer depreciated over this period if depreciation was calculated according to the straight line method. Remember, the straight line method is A is equals to P, 1 minus I multiplied by N, right? So our accumulated amount now is what? Half X. Remember, it will depreciate to its half. It will depreciate to half of its original value. So P represents the original price, and then A represents the book value, right? Then this is equals to what? X. 1 minus I, which is what we are looking for, but then the number of years is 4 years. So with this one, it's not quarterly, it's not monthly. We know that depreciation occurs on a yearly basis, right? So we're going to divide both sides by X like that. And then we have half here. We have the 1 minus 4I, and then we can take the negative 4I over to this side. Then we're going to have 1 minus half. So this is going to be 4I. 1 minus half is 0.5, and then divide both sides by 4. So we are going to have I is equals to 0.125, right? Then obviously we know we should not leave it like that. If we want the rate, we should then multiply by 100, right? So that means the rate of depreciation now is going to be 12.5%, right? So that's how you are supposed to indicate that. So because it's rate, let me put R. So 12.5%. Right. So, okay, that's it. 2 marks, only 2 marks, guys. Okay, so it's just the substitution into that formula and then also the final answer. Okay, then we have 7.3. They say Tepo was granted a loan of 100,000 on 1 March 2022 at an interest rate of 13.5% per annum compounded monthly. Tepo agreed to repay the loan over 5 years in monthly installments of 2,300.98 starting on 1 April through 2022, which is just a month after he took the loan. Calculate the total interest that he will pay over the 5 years, right? So obviously, this is what we are going to do. So for interest, we know that interest is just simply, we have to take NX minus by the present value, right? So the present value is the loan amount, right? So, but then this represents the period multiplied by the what you call the monthly installments, right? So we are going to say 5 years, it's how many months, right? Because remember, this 2,300.98 is being deposited on a monthly basis. So 5 years, that would have to be 60 months. Multiply that by the 2,300.98 minus the what? The present value of 100,000. So note this formula here. This is the formula to calculate the interest on a loan, right? This is the formula to calculate the interest on a loan that is being paid by regular installments, right? So when we do that, we are going to have what? So for this one, that's 138,068.80, then minus the 100,000, which is going to give us what? 38,068.80. Right. So for 2 marks, that's what we were supposed to do. Right. Okay. Okay, so we have 7.3.2. It says Tshepo paid 22,300.98, which they got this by adding his monthly installments of the 2,300.98 and an additional 20,000 that he makes, right? So all in all, if you say 2,300.98 plus the additional 20,000 lump sum, remember the 20,000 is only being paid once on 1 March, right? 2024. So remember, when we go back here, they said Tshepo was granted a loan of 100,000 on 1 March 2022, and then he decides to pay that extra 20,000 on 1 March 2024, which is exactly 2 years after the loan has been granted to him. Into the loan account, he continues to pay the original month installments thereafter. So after that 20,000 lump sum, he still continues to pay the 2,300.98. Now, first, let's understand what is being done here. So Tshepo is just trying to amortize the loan in a shorter period, right? It's trying to pay off the loan in a shorter period. So that's why now he's throwing in the 20,000 to actually save himself from interest and also not to take this whole loan for the whole 5 years, right? So it's trying to complete it in a much lesser time. Now they say how many months earlier do you see that? How many months earlier will Tshepo repay the loan? Which means it will no longer be exactly the 5 years, which would actually mean it's what is it? 5 multiplied by 12, that's 60, right? 60 months. So that means it will no longer be what? Be 60 months, but then it would have to be less than that, right? So now this is what we are trying to find out now. How many months earlier will he repay the loan if he makes that lump sum payment of 20,000? So this is what we are going to do. This question, we're going to start by first finding the outstanding balance after he has paid for 2 full years, right? So this is what happens. When I say present value is x1 minus 1 plus I to the exponent of negative n over I. And then we say the x amounts were 2,300.98. Then bracket 1 minus 1 plus the interest is what? 13.5%, which can be written as 0.135 monthly over 12. Then if we are calculating the outstanding balance, let me indicate this as OB, the outstanding balance. Remember, if I'm calculating the outstanding balance, I have to consider the outstanding number of months. So for 2 years, that's 24 months. 24 months have already been paid for, right? And then the outstanding are these ones. So the outstanding number of months are this. So from 24 to 60, we get that 60 minus 24, that would leave us with an outstanding months of 36 months, which is 3 years, right? Okay, then over what? Over 0.135 over 12. So the n here has to be what? Has to be 36. So these are the outstanding number of months in order for the loan to be completed, right? So we are still assuming that if he did not pay the 20,000, then how much would be left, right? If he did not pay the 20,000, how much would be left? So outstanding balance is this. So the outstanding balance after 2 years of full payments is 67,000. 67,804.94, right? But then remember, on that month, right, on that month of March 2024, he actually did something. He paid a lump sum of 20,000. So that means now the outstanding balance would have to be 67,804.94 minus the 20,000, meaning that we are now left with what? To pay off the loan, we are now left with 47,804.94, which is now the new outstanding balance after he makes that lump sum payment of 20,000. So now we want to take this and continue with it and see how many more months will it take for him to pay off the 47,804.94 now, not this, right? If you were to continue paying this, that means it will take him the whole of the 3 years here, the whole of this 36 months. But now, because we have made a payment of 20,000 and then we are only left with an outstanding balance of this, that means it will take us fewer months now. Okay. So what do we then do? Now that we have this, come back again and calculate with the same formula, right? So we are now going to say, to continue with that, present value is x, 1 minus 1 plus I to the exponent of negative n over I. Now our present value, which is our outstanding balance, is 47,804.94. Remember, he still makes those monthly installments of 2,300.98. And then we have 1 minus 1 plus 0.135 over 12. But this time around, we are looking for that n. We are looking for how many number of months it will take him to pay. 135 over 12. Then cross multiply here. So you do your maths here. So you just have to sharpen your math skills when it comes to this one. So a quicker way to do it is this. So just simply cross multiply this and then divide that. And then take this 1 over to this side. Minus 1 is equals to negative 1 plus 0.135 over 12 to the exponent of negative n, right? Then what you can then do is swap these ones around. So 1 plus 0.135 over 12 to the exponent of negative n is equals to, so when you swap them around, they actually become 1 minus 47,804.94, and then over what? Bracket 0.135 over 12. So I'm doing this because financial math is very, very sensitive to rounding off. So you must make sure you keep your values like that. We are dealing with money here. So, okay, then from there on, that's where you need to actually punch all of this into your calculator. So you'd have your n is equals to negative log, and then take all of this, 1 plus 0.135 over 12, and then take all of that. So the answer to all of that, which is going to be, so if you punch this into your calculator, it should give you something like 0.766 something there, right? Then punch all of that into your calculator. You get that your n is equals to 23.80, which in conclusion, we can say that is approximately 24 months, right? Now, 24 months is the time it will take Tshepo to pay off the remaining amount, the outstanding balance, right? But then remember, we had calculated that if it was in for the 20,000, it would take him 36 months. But now with the 20,000 that has been thrown in, it's now only 24 months to pay off the remaining balance or the outstanding balance. Remember, the question is how many months earlier will Tshepo repay the loan? It's not 24 months earlier. We have to then say 36 minus 24. It means it will be 12 months earlier. Because now instead of the whole 36 months, is only taking 24 months. So that means that's actually 12 months earlier. Right. And that's how you were supposed to solve that question. So this was a very nice question. This was a very, very nice question from last year. So make sure that you are actually mindful of that question. Practice this question. I don't believe there is any other question that might give you a problem.